they did it. All of the concern, everything that we had spoken about, talked about leading up here. Red Sox took care of business at home against the Yankees in a one-game wild card in a very fun environment, which you were there and got to take in. And honestly, a relatively breezy game for them. They get out to an early lead. Eovaldi's lights out. They make a key defensive play. And the Yankees didn't really put up a ton of fight. Were you surprised how this game went?
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a more competitive game, maybe very much in doubt going down to the last 3 or 6 outs, and that wasn't the case. From the Bogarts home run in the first, they took the lead. They never trailed most of the night. Their lead was a multi-run lead, so you had built in a little comfort factor there. If Alex Cora had attempted to draw up how he wanted the night to go, I suspect it would have looked very much like what we saw.
Yeah, I'd say the one thing for sure, maybe not having to get quite so many outs from your bullpen, but to their credit, 3 2/3 innings, and they acquitted themselves incredibly well. It looked like Eovaldi was going to get them through 6, possibly even 7, the way he was throwing. But other than that, yeah, I mean, just such a clean game by the Red Sox, which really obviously bodes well moving forward. Now, taking on the Rays, the series starts Thursday. You'll be heading out there to cover it for Boston Sports Journal. And again, for those of you out there watching or listening who don't subscribe, subscribe. $3.99, $39.99 a year, $5.99 a month, 11 cents a day. Best Boston sports coverage in town, bar none. Now, quick preview of this series. The Rays have been not quite wire to wire, but I think a strong argument could be made the most complete team and possibly the best all-around team in baseball for most of the year. These guys don't do a lot wrong. And so the Red Sox are really going to have to be perfect.
Yeah, we talked about the margin for error not being great in the postseason. I think that's even more the case here, John, because as you noted, Tampa Bay is a team that doesn't make mistakes. They're fundamentally sound. They're athletic. They're versatile. They can move guys around. They have, they're probably going to end up starting 3 rookies. I mean, starting their first 3 starting pitchers could be rookies,
which unreal. Yeah.
Their pitching depth, the ability to tag team guys out of the bullpen, use openers, use bulk guys, whatever it takes. But more than that, they're very fundamentally sound. They convert balls into outs. They take the extra base. They're aggressive without being too aggressive. So if the margin wasn't great against the Yankees, it's even slimmer here against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and the Red Sox have question marks as well. Obviously, JD Martinez, we're not really sure what's going to happen there. He was so bad, he couldn't even suit up to be on the bench as an available pinch hitter in the wild card game. You have to wonder whether he's going to be able to be on that roster. That would really kind of move things around for the Red Sox a good bit.
Yeah, in one sense, it makes it a little easier
because you
essentially roll out that lineup that you had last night with Dahlbeck at first, Schwarber as the DH, and then Verdugo in left field. But obviously, you would prefer to have Martinez and his bat available. I noted that when he came out for pregame introductions in uniform, he did not even lightly jog. He walked. And prior to the game, Alex Cora described Martinez's ankle as, quote, humongous in terms of the swelling that had taken place there. That doesn't sound to me like a guy who's a slam dunk for the next round. And, remember the problems you run into if you roll the dice, bring a guy onto the roster, and then lose him a game or 2 in. You can replace him, but you lose that player for the next round too.
Right.
You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but maybe if they think, well, we can get by this round and then he'll truly be 100% or close to it for the ALCS. I thought it was a fait accompli that he'd be ready for the division series, but not after hearing Alex Cora talk yesterday and not after seeing JD Martinez walk very gingerly.
Yeah, I guess you could play that scenario in reverse, which is to put somebody on the roster that you don't think you would have or need for the ALCS and theoretically replace them with an
Well, but the
injury.
baseball guards against that. You
Yeah.
have to document injuries,
Yeah.
and that would be a big red flag that everyone would be paying attention
Alex Cora
to.
would never allow himself to do
No
anything.
precedent for that whatsoever.
So if you have to handicap it just the way it looks now, I think a lot of people are going to look at this Red Sox season just based off of expectations and where they'd been in the last couple of years and already chalk it up as a victory. So I don't think there's a ton of pressure here. You're playing arguably the best team in baseball, and you were able to get through the Yankees, which is a fun little treat for Sox fans. So you have that. So I don't think there's a ton of pressure here, but what are the chances they can actually sneak by Tampa off into and head off into the ALCS?
Well, I'll say this. It's better that they're catching them in a 5-game series rather than a 7, because the shorter the series, the more likely a flukier outcome. And by fluky, I mean the underdog winning. I don't think it would be a complete fluke if the Red Sox were to win this series, but I also think most people expect the Rays will. But the fact that it's 5 and not 7, makes it maybe a smaller mountain to climb. I would expect that Tampa wins, but I could certainly see it going 5 games. I could certainly see the Red Sox forcing game 5 back at Tropicana Field, and a pretty competitive series. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. The Red Sox proved in the first half of the year that they can play with Tampa. I think they won the first 5 games of the series and then didn't do as well as the season moved on, and the Rays kind of picked up a little steam. The Red Sox slumped in the second half, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could pull off an upset. But if you're asking me, I'd say Rays in 5.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, Sean McAdam, as I said, is heading down to Tampa to cover the game. He'll have all of the coverage. The series starts on Thursday night. We'll try to talk once again here on this show on Friday, recapping game 1, and we'll see where the Red Sox stand after that. Sean, thanks a lot.
Thanks, John.